Hello, we're going to continue reading from Murder in the Kollel. Hope everybody is healthy and hope you're enjoying what I'm reading. This is from Murder in the Kollel, chapter 10, Semper Fidelis. Afternoon prayers were held just as the sun began to set, and they were followed by evening prayers. In between, there was a 20-minute lesson delivered by Rabbi Lipsky. It was not the most inspired talk I had ever heard, but it was not bad for a rabbi that normally did not teach. Altogether, we were 11 men at the services, and I could see 3 of the men eyeing me. These were the volunteers who came to fill the required 10 count for the minyan. I suppose each was thinking that if I was going to be at the minyan anyway, Rabbi Lipsky should have kept them informed so that one of the volunteers could have stayed home. As I drove back to the hotel, I thought about what Daphna had said about my discharge from the Marines. I usually try not to think about it. I was 20 years old and I'd been in the Marines for almost 2 years. I really liked it. For most of the time, I had been assigned to the 1st Battalion of the 1st Marine Regiment of the 1st Marine Division stationed in Fort Pendleton, California. I felt like it was my home and was seriously considering re-upping as a first step in a glorious military career. I was young. I was stupid. One day out of the blue, I was ordered to report to Captain Flower's office. I do not remember what his official capacity was on the base, but he was not in my chain of command, so the order was a little out of the ordinary. But when you are a Marine and an officer, any officer, tells you to jump, all you can say is, how high? The muscular captain had was 2 inches taller than me and about 80 pounds heavier. His short blonde hair was cut in a white sidewall style, and if you ran your finger over the crease in his pants, you'd come away with a bleeding laceration. That kind of a Marine. The captain told me that he was arranging a demonstration of hand-to-hand combat for the base, and I had been volunteered to participate. He informed me of the place and time and ordered me to be there. I had no idea what the captain was talking about, so I asked my platoon sergeant. His first words were, "Oh crap, he's doing that shit again." I thought he'd stopped. It turns out that Captain Flower was a devout believer in the white Aryan supremacy and preached its dogma to anyone that would listen. In the past, to prove the inferiority of non-Aryans, he would stage hand-to-hand combat demonstrations, and as luck would have it, the person who volunteered to be his sparring partner was always either black, Hispanic, or Jewish. Captain Flowers had been a Marine champion in hand-to-hand combat, and when the demonstrations were over, the volunteer usually required hospitalization. His superiors reprimanded him for his behavior, and the demonstrations had stopped. No real punishment was ever meted out because no Marine regulations were actually violated. Captain Flowers was always very careful in how he worded everything he did. But his climb up the promotion ladder came to a halt. His rank did not change, and he would still be a captain when he retired next year. "That son of a bitch wants to get another notch on his belt before he retires," said my sergeant. "You ain't black and you ain't Chicano. Why did he choose you?" When I told my sergeant that I was Jewish, he was absolutely floored because I had never ever mentioned my ethnic background. My sergeant told me Flowers especially hates Jews, and you being tall, blue-eyed, and blonde probably pisses the hell out of him. A Jew had no right looking like an Aryan. He then explained the precarious situation that I was in. The options he outlined went from bad to worse. If I went to my superiors and filed a complaint of anti-Semitism against Captain Flowers, it would be dismissed because there was no evidence that the captain had done anything to me that had any anti-Semitic basis. If I went to my own regimental command and asked that they intervene and get me out of the demonstration, then I would be considered a big baby running home to mama. It would look bad on my record. If I did not show up for a demonstration, the captain would file charges against me for not obeying an officer. His recommendation to me was for me to show up, get the shit beaten out of me, and keep my mouth shut. He assured me that if the beating was getting too intense, somebody would intervene. Getting the living daylights knocked out of me would accomplish a number of things. Flowers were to show the world that Jews cannot stand up against the white Aryan race and what a big man he is. The senior officers and the Marine Corps were once again relieved of having to officially deal with Captain Flowers and his racial bias, while at the same time everyone would know that I took it like a man. Hopefully. To me, it seemed that all the options were crappy choices. The whole situation was seriously bothering me emotionally. It was not the impending beating that disturbed me, although I anticipated that with trepidation. It was that this was my very first encounter with real, unadulterated anti-Semitism. I knew anti-Semitism existed, and in high school we had learned a little about the Holocaust, but I had never experienced it firsthand. I had been raised in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Half of my high school class was white Gentile, and the other half was a mixture of blacks, Hispanics, Orientals, and Jews. We would constantly make light out of fun of our different ethnic backgrounds, but hatred based on someone's race or color was unheard of. My friends came from all ethnic groups and races. I understood that sometimes people did bad things to one another and hatreds developed. But what I could not fathom was the idea that someone hated someone else not because they had done something, but because they simply existed. I barely knew that I was Jewish, but for Flowers, my Jewishness meant I did not have the right to exist in his vicinity, in his country, or in his world. I could not believe that this was happening in the Marine Corps that was supposed to be my home. Unbelievable. On the day of the demonstration, the sergeants from the other two platoons came to visit me, and they both gave me the same advice as my own sergeant. I should allow myself to be the captain's punching bag and keep my mouth shut. And most important, whatever you do, don't fight back, because Flowers would most definitely get angry, and he could accidentally deliver a lethal blow by mistake. I was not filled with optimism. There was one little bit of information that Captain Flowers and the rest of the Corps did not know. I had been a terrible student in junior high and high school. Nowadays, I would probably be diagnosed as ADD or ADHD or some other behavioral malady with exotic initials. About the only activity I enjoyed and excelled in was martial arts. My folks shelled out a lot of money to send me to judo, karate, and aikido classes. I was darn good at them. All my sensei all said that I had reached the black belt level in all three. I practiced on my own to stay limber, but I never demonstrated my skills in the Marines because I did not want to draw attention to myself. So what to do? If I used my training and fought back, I might get killed. The sergeant was bigger and stronger than me. Not a pleasant thought. Or I could be the captain's punching bag and hopefully live to talk about it. I arrived at the gymnasium and found that there were about 200 enlisted men and non-coms gathered around the mat. Not an officer in the group. My sergeant told me that all the officers knew about the demonstration and found it advantageous not to be there. I changed into shorts, t-shirt, and gym shoes and waited. Captain Flowers arrived right on time, already dressed for the demonstration. The muscular officer looked both impressive and menacing. If he was trying to scare me, he had accomplished his mission. The captain had everyone move off the mat and then gave a short talk about the importance of developing hand-to-hand skills as a Marine. We began the demonstration with him asking me to attack him in various ways, with a wooden knife, with a stick, with a garrote, and he would demonstrate the classic ways of combating these attacks. All straightforward. Then he said he would practice freestyle. He was going to let me attack him any way I liked, and he would show the group how he defended himself. This was the signal for it to begin. I was going to get the shit beaten out of me, and I did not relish the thought. I came at the captain in a feeble attack, and he threw me to the mat with ease. He asked me to try again. Once more, I lasted only 5 seconds. When he hoisted me to my feet, he spoke into my ear so only I could hear. So, you little piece of Jewish shit, I'm going to finish off what Hitler started. You're never going to see your mama again. Kiss your ass goodbye. He came at me with frightening intensity. I tried to defend myself, but he punched me in the ribs very, very hard and I heard something break. He then head-butted me in, and only by pure luck my nose was not broken. My head was spinning, and he was punching me in my face and body mercilessly, and was kicking me with his legs at every opportunity. My face would be black and blue for weeks. Then he threw me to the ground and wrapped his right arm around my throat and began choking me. I tried to pull his hand away, but Flower's muscular arm was twice the size of mine, and it was useless. He used his free hand to gouge at my eyes, and only by twisting my head about and pushing his hand did I keep his fingers from injuring my eyes. I could not breathe, and I knew I could never overcome his superior strength. So I gave him the 3 quick pats on his shoulder. This was the universal signal used in all combative sports to say, "I give up." Flowers did not relent. This was no longer a demonstration. Captain Flowers had crossed the line. His intent was to cause me permanent injury. I was being strangled to death. I squirmed and I tossed my head to prevent Flowers from blinding me. What the captain was doing had to be obvious to all the spectators, and they expected one of them to come forward to stop the match. "Okay, guys, break up the fight." The captain had done his thing, I had done mine. Everyone did what they were supposed to do. Let us call this demonstration over so we could get back to our lives. He continued to choke me. I was not breathing. Everything was going gray. No one came. I had been willing to be a punching bag, but I drew the line at being a corpse. I decided I would fight back. There was not much time because I would soon lose consciousness. I concentrated my chi as my sensei had instructed me. As Flowers choked me, his head was resting just above my left shoulder. It was the only area that was vulnerable. What I was about to do was definitely not in the Kodokan rules of the sport. I did not have much room to swing my arm. I saw my target as a point about 1 foot behind the captain's head. With all my chi and all my power, I brought my right hand around in a looping blow to the captain's face. I am not sure what I hit, but it was enough force to make him loosen his head hold. I scrambled free and gasped for air. When I got to my feet, I took a loose stance in front of him. The gray was lifting slowly. The captain rubbed his forehead and looked at me. He squared up before me, laughed out loud, and said to the crowd, "Look at this, would you believe it? Our little Hebrew friend wants to play. So let's play." The captain attacked quickly, and I sidestepped his grasp. I bobbed and weaved, and his punches went wide. He began to get angry. Angry is good. You get sloppy when you're angry. Once more he came towards me with great force, and I used his momentum to throw him over my hip to the mat. On his next attack, he came in low. I avoided his advance, and as his body went by, I punched him hard in the back of the neck, sending him to the floor once more. He was fuming. Even better. He came at me with high roundhouse kicks aimed at my head, which I easily avoided. I knew all these preliminary kicks would keep me off balance so that he could land a more powerful kick with his preferred right leg. He advanced rapidly to get all of his weight behind his blow. He shot his right leg out in my direction. I had been waiting for this. I grasped the ankle of his raised leg in my left hand, and to supplement his forward motion, I spun to my left. This pulled him even more rapidly towards me. I was now facing away from him, and I drove the right side of my body into his elevated leg. All the power of his forward inertia, my sideways motion, and the leverage I had on his leg were combined to act on his right knee. We both landed on the mat and with a loud thud, and when I got up, Captain Flowers' knee now bent in an entirely new direction. He was screaming on the floor and the medics were summoned. A sergeant I did not recognize came quickly to my side and hustled me out of the gym. "Let's get you out of here before any of Flowers' white supremacy buddies get any ideas," he said. That was beautiful. Very stupid, but beautiful. The captain suffered a shattered knee, which put an end to his Marine career. At the official inquiry, the other officers in his unit said that they were not aware of any hidden agenda associated with the captain's demonstrations, meaning he was never anti-black, anti-Hispanic, or anti-Semite. He was just a good-natured, salt-of-the-earth Marine captain. It was all a general whitewash of the events so that the captain would not lose his Marine pension. After the inquiry, the senior officers delivered an unofficial message to the junior officers, and they passed it along to the non-coms, who finally passed it to my sergeant, who passed it to me. The message was that I made the wrong choice. I should not have defended myself, even if the cost to me would have been severe. I should have taken a beating and just shut up. I should have done it for the Corps. By fighting back and beating the captain, an official inquiry had to be conducted. The Corps did not want to wash its dirty linen in public. I was respectfully asked not to consider staying in the service. They also let me know that if I did not take their suggestion, they would be obligated to file charges against me for assaulting a senior officer with intent to cause serious bodily harm. I got my honorary discharge from the Marines, but there was no honor in it at all. End of chapter 10. Tomorrow we'll do chapter 11.